NTA International News.
Federal government commences payment of 5,000 naira stipends to the poorest and most vulnerable Nigerians. Senate to investigate southern Kaduna crisis, just as the Minister of Interior appeals for restraint on ethnic or religious comments which escalate the crisis. Nigerians optimistic of a prosperous 2017 as a cross-section of people are expectant of better days ahead. Great to have you join us on the news on NTA International. I am Ifeanyi Okafor. And top on our news, the federal government has started the payment of 5,000 naira monthly stipends to the poorest and the most vulnerable in the country through the Conditional Cash Transfer (CCT) of its social investment program. Funds for the commencement of the payments in 4 states were released last week to the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, the platform that hosts and validates payments for all government social intervention programs. A release from the Office of the President says many of the beneficiaries have acknowledged the payment as at 30th December 2016. Under the CCT, 1 million Nigerians will receive 5,000 naira monthly as budgeted for in the 2016 budget. The second set of 5 states to complete the first batch of 9 states will soon follow. The Buhari Media Support Group has appealed to Nigerians to be hopeful that the country will improve in the new year. In a statement, the group's coordinator, Mohammed Labo, stated that though the year 2016 was tough, it was a year which the Buhari administration used to lay foundation for economic prosperity and self-reliance in 2017 and beyond. The group says that the efforts of government to lay a solid foundation is captured in the 2017 National Budget of Recovery and Growth, and Nigerians should work with the government to ensure that growth and recovery takes place in 2017. And now to housing matters. The federal government says it is putting in place modalities that will enable the Nigerian military personnel own their houses after service. Executive Secretary, Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board, Hannatu Fika, said this at a meeting with the Nigerian Army Post-Service Housing Development in Abuja. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday now reports.
The fall of the final stronghold of the Boko Haram terrorists in the dreaded Sambisa forest in Borno State, which many Nigerians described as a Christmas gift to the nation, is one of the major feats achieved by the Nigerian military in the recent times.
When officers and men retire.
To motivate these gallant soldiers, the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, through its Loans Board, says it is strengthening its relationship with the post-service housing development.
So that at the end of the day, having served your fatherland for 35 years or up to the age of 60, you should have something to show. And one of the most glaring things that you should be able to show is a house over the head of your family.
There is no reason why after service that an officer or soldier should not be able to retire into his home peacefully and live a very decent and contribute to national development.
Hannatu Fika says the Nigerian military will immensely benefit from the recently approved 13 billion naira for the board by President Muhammadu Buhari. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Away from housing to security, the Senate President Bukola Saraki has pledged that the Senate, upon resumption, will look into the crises that have led to the wanton loss of lives and property in the southern part of Kaduna State in recent times. The Senate President made this known while responding to the cry of a concerned Nigerian on Twitter over the massacre of about 800 Christians in Kaduna South. Dr. Saraki stated that every Nigerian life matters, adding that the Senate will ensure that the rule of law prevails. Special Assistant on News Media to the Senate President, Bamikole Omishore, in a statement, said the Senate President is in touch with senators from that state and constantly getting updates on developments. Now, still on security matters, the Minister of the Interior, Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Bello Dambazo, has appealed to well-meaning Nigerians not to allow themselves to be dragged into religious conflicts. He said this has become necessary following insinuations that the violence in southern Kaduna is fueled by religious statement. A statement from the press secretary to the minister, Ehisewen Osaigbovo, states that there are people who desire to further create division along religious or ethnic lines of the country for their selfish interest with the aim of creating instability. The minister posited that true religious leaders do not fan the embers of hate, but ensure that communities live in peace and harmony. He maintained that economic growth and development will remain a mirage for Nigeria with over 500 ethnic groups and multiple religions unless there is the resolve to live amicably as a people with a common destiny, citing examples of how communities in Zamfara, Katsina, Taraba, Enugu, Lagos, and Niger were victimized by those violent criminals. The minister stated that a criminal should be treated as such, whether he is involved in armed robbery, drug trafficking, homicide, or cattle rustling, and that people should avoid honoring criminals with religious or ethnic attachments. He advised opinion and religious leaders to refrain from giving the crisis between herdsmen and sedentary farmers in southern Kaduna a religious connotation. Rather, attention should be focused on the real enemies of our society who illegally acquire weapons to terrorize Christian and Muslim communities alike. The minister said the police have been tasked to ensure law and order and to arrest and prosecute anyone involved in criminal activities and urged citizens to cooperate with the police by providing actionable intelligence in its quest to restore normalcy to the troubled communities. And now to politics. The staff under the payroll of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, have held a peaceful protest calling on the police to open the party's secretariat, which has been locked for about 10 months now. This is coming as the police authority says the secretariat closure is to maintain law and order. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Birninkudu has a situation report.
This is the Wadata Plaza PDP National Secretariat in a shadow of itself, tattered flags and taken over by weeds. Both the street and the gates of the Secretariat have been closed on the authority of the police, following leadership crisis rocking the party for almost a year now. This is a concern of the more than 100 staff of the party Secretariat as they resort to prayers and peaceful protests, calling on the judiciary to hasten judgments on pending cases. They also want the police to allow them access to their offices.
It may be recalled that no court in the country gave the order for the lockdown of the PDP National Secretariat by the Nigerian Police Force. And therefore, we demand the immediate and unconditional reopening of the Secretariat.
We are responsible staff. Our duty is supposed to work for the party. Even if we are paid the whole money we needed, and then we are not working, we are not comfortable at all.
In a swift reaction to their course, the police said the action was taken in good faith to avert breakdown of law and order.
It's not an issue of opening the office, it's issue of ensuring that there is peace. The staff themselves should be able to work in a very peaceful atmosphere and know who their master is. So they should be a bit patient. Once it's probably resolved, I think the case is in appeal court now. Once it's resolved and they come back to the police and they inform us that they have resolved their issues amicably, the offices will be opened.
Both the Ahmad Makarfi and Sharif factions of the PDP have been operating in temporary secretariats. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Brunokudu, NTA News.
Speaker of Jigawa State House of Assembly, Idris Garba Jabun, has been impeached. 23 out of the 30 members of the Assembly signed for the impeachment of the Speaker. Awal Muhammad Kazauri reports.
The impeachment notice was read by the clerk of the House, Alhaji Usaina Alikila. The Speaker was accused of rigidity and uncompromising attitude, as well as his inability to carry his colleagues along to move the House forward.
Speaker of the State House of Assembly,
I will perform my functions honestly, to the best of my ability, faithfully, and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law.
And in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law.
Isa Idris Gwaram defeated Musa Suleduse to emerge as the new Speaker. In his acceptance speech, the new Speaker promised to carry everybody along and further cement existing relationship between the executive and legislative arm. The new Speaker has since assumed duty after taking oath of office. Awal Muhammad Kazauri, NTA News.
Away from politics to public service matters, Tuesday, 3rd January is the first working day in the year 2017 in Nigeria after a series of holidays for the festivities. Oyeyemi Ajayi, who went round offices in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, has a situation report on the level of compliance by civil servants.
The arrival of this bus, which is one of the several conveying civil servants on a daily basis about 15 minutes earlier than the usual time, seems to show the enthusiasm with which civil servants are returning on this first day of 2017.
The law has stated that you have to start your work by 8. So I must be there. Every good civil servant as I must be there before 8.
I know that if I should do very well, it all boils down to my own, to the way I start, because I believe that proper preparation prepares proper performances or produce proper performances anyway.
If others too emulate, so things will work well.
For Victor Kingsley and Nwogu Chidima, the day is just like every other day of resumption, but they, however, have New Year resolutions.
Yes, not everybody has resumed, because from all indications, so many people went on leave, on their annual leave, and they have not resumed. And maybe many are still enjoying their New Year. But to me, I know I have work on my table, and as a responsible civil servant, it is good to comply with government, to do government work.
I always like my first at work, because it gives me time to prepare, to at least better how it has been in the last year.
I know the progress of this country by working hard and making a kind of support to the federal government and work hard this 2017 to achieve my goal.
Like other civil servants, Victor and Chidima have pledged to put in extra energy and wisdom to propel the change agenda, but are quick to urge the government to provide an enabling environment, including improved remuneration that will reflect the economic realities of the country. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Well, the Christmas and New Year celebrations ended. It is expected that there will be heavy vehicular movement, indicating the return of people from the holidays. Olajide Bello has an update on the traffic situation within the FCT metropolis.
As the first working day after the public holiday declared by the federal government, one would expect the usual hustle and bustle in terms of vehicular movement, but reverse is the case as there is free flow of traffic.
Most places visited within the Abuja metropolis, there was still low vehicular movement, indicating that it's either people are in their offices or taking care of the businesses, or they are yet to return after the Yuletide break.
With expectations of heavy flow of both human and vehicular movements across the country, what measures are being put in place to ensure safer roads and minimal road traffic crashes?
The critical corridors that we witness a lot of upsurge of movement of traffic and human traffic will be manned till January 15th. And enough sensitization will be there going on. There will still be traffic control. There will be traffic calming, there will be removal of obstructions, and there will be light enforcement and mobile court will still be sitting.
Well, with these measures put in place to ensure safety on the roads, it now behoves on the road users to comply with rules and regulations to ensure their safety. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
You're watching NTA International News from Nigeria's capital city of Abuja. Time to take a short break. Stay tuned for more reports.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. So let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogeruola. Change begins with you and me.
International News. Africa as it is.
Good to know you're still there on the news on NTA International. Now, 2017 is already here, and many say the beginning of the year is always the best time of the year, as it is usually filled with renewed hope in life and a reminder of re-energizing the social contract between the leaders and the led. Now, what are the people's expectations? Chiazala Mekie tells us.
Beginning of the year to many is that time that people position themselves for all the resolutions that will be in tandem with their dreams and aspirations. The year 2016 was undoubtedly a difficult one, as it was the year Nigeria entered its first recession in 25 years, most significantly arising from low global oil prices and domestic production. As the government will do to show up the resilience of the people to meet up its good plans, government has assured that the current hardship being experienced across the country is temporal, given its determination to turn things around.
Recession is not evil. It's just God is putting us, it's a seasonal thing. It will come and go. America has been there.
Yes, we will expect security to continue. Thank you for all the work that you have done on Boko Haram, but it's not over. What about the Shiite movement? What about the Niger Delta crisis? Yes, we're sounding like Oliver Twist, but we know that that is the primary purpose of government.
It is my firm belief that if the government concentrates and works hard on this power sector, it is going to help advance our economy by more than 50%.
With optimism, better days indeed lie ahead. Chiazalam Ekie, NTA News.
Oil commences the year on a positive trend as prices hit 18-month high. Details and more with Edeago on Business News.
A very warm welcome to Business News and compliments of the season.
Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves ended 2016 at $25.78 billion after gaining $420 million in 7 days. The reserves recorded about $1 billion. The reserves recorded about $1 billion increase, or 4.2% rise month on month, up from $24.77 billion at the end of November. In another development, Nigeria's stock market dipped by 6.17% in 2016, making it the third consecutive decline as economic indicators affected investors' participation in the market. However, the decline in 2016 is lower than what was recorded in 2014 and 2015, when the market went down by 16.1% and 17.4%. The all-share index declined from 28,624.24 at the beginning of 2016 to 26,874.62 to close the year. Meanwhile, oil advanced Tuesday after the biggest gain since 2009 as deal to cut production between OPEC and non-OPEC countries boost market. Benchmark Brent crude jumped 2% to a high of $58.37, up $1.55 a barrel, the highest since July 2015. U.S. light crude gained $1.52 to $55.24 a barrel.
And here's a quick check on market activity on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange Tuesday. Business News.
Thank you, Eddie. Now, the federal government's policy of increasing rice production to enhance food security in the country as well as create employment has been applauded. This was the opinion of guests on NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria, while contributing on the implementation of Rice Revolution program in Nigeria so far. Saliu Abdullahi has the report.
In view of the successes recorded in the effort to boost the production of rice in states with high potentials like Nasarawa, Ebonyi, Kebbi, Benue, and Sokoto, among others, the guests were unanimous that Nigeria is on the right path to attaining rice sufficiency for both local consumption and export in the nearest future.
We have farmers that recorded
up to 6.7 tons per hectare, really because it is because of the new technology that has actually been involved in it.
We're increasing from that level to a bigger volume because what happened last year has gingered our farmers, and almost everybody is now going into rice production.
I'm sure by the end of next dry season, we are going to produce 1.5 metric tons.
Sustaining the existing intervention programs and intensifying efforts to encourage both wet and dry season farming with quality seeds, as well as encourage synergy between the public and private sectors in the business, was also described as the right step going forward.
So we hope that this government will stay on the board, will sustain these policies, will continue to encourage production.
We are looking at developing the whole value chain, and presently we are in almost 26 states.
The consumer is still buying rice at very high price because most of the big mills you will see are also dependent on expatriate engineer maintaining their mills and all the rest of them. The cost of production at the big mill level is high.
A specialist from African Rice Center said research has advanced to develop 5 varieties of rice being used in Nigeria for maximum production. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And next is Adebola Brookslyn Sunday with stories outside Nigeria.